Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. Now these days people don't want to read the Bible for themselves, and they depend on the pastor to answer really difficult questions. People also depend on the pastor to validate their decisions, whether they are wrong or whether they're right. It's almost like asking for a second opinion, okay? And the dangers in asking a pastor a really difficult question is sometimes you face the risk that the pastor is not going to be completely honest with you. If you are a big main celebrity like Cam Newton, then yeah, you can ask me anything, honey. But it doesn't mean that I'm going to answer the question probably wholeheartedly or in a godly way, because I just don't want no friction between us. I want to keep our relationship a certain type of way. So Jesus set us free though by what he did for us on the cross. Thank you, Lord Jesus. And the veil was removed, and now we can have a relationship with God through our brother Jesus Christ. And we don't have to necessarily always go to the pastor, but a lot of the times, because people will not read their word, they're looking for something quick, instant, microwavable type of word. They won't spend that intimate time with God. They look to a pastor or to a leader to be able to answer really tough questions or to validate something that they're already mixed up in. Now, disclaimer, I know that some people are going to have a strong opinion about what I'm about to say. I have a strong opinion, honey, okay? And I just want to say that it's really okay. Do you? Now, Cam Newton asked for Pastor Keion's take about his 8 kids by 3 different women. Pastor Keion's reply is, I don't have any judgment. Now, I want to read what some of the comments were under that post, because they were not feeling what Pastor Keion said to Cam Newton. And someone wrote, I like Pastor Keion, but for him to not properly inform Cam is irresponsible. And Keion, are you serious? Someone else wrote, why is it more important for the children to see healthy co-parenting, but not more important to see both parents parenting in the same household, and not both of them having mother wounds? Pastor Keion sounds like he's talking to his children's mother subliminally. And honey, we're about to get into that in just a minute. Now, someone else wrote, I am officially done with this pastor. And what kind of pastor is this dude? He has created broken homes. Having a good relationship with the baby's mom don't mean nothing. You still not in that home. And then someone else wrote, this was not a help. Tell him the truth. Stop coddling these grown men. And not only did Pastor Keion tell Cam that he wouldn't judge him, but he also said, be careful, because child support is a beast and it's expensive, honey. Now, honey, I didn't agree with Pastor Keion Henderson openly discussing his whole child support situation when he was on the Cam Newton podcast. And I mean, it wasn't the whole thing, but it was just a piece that I just feel was out of order. And I'm just going to leave that there. But for a person to say that child support is a beast and it's expensive, and then you dap someone up on what they just said, it's just almost embarrassing, because why would someone want sympathy in that area of your life? Honey, I thought that was called responsibility. In other words, taking care of what belongs to you and you. You shouldn't air that type of business out on a public platform. It is your responsibility to continue to take care of a child, even when they are not under the same roof as you. To even say that he is paying child support in the first place is a reflection of him, because it means that the ex-wife did not trust him enough in the fullness of what they already experienced together in the marriage, and in witnessing in how he was in the marriage when it came to handling business. Normally when someone complains about child support in our regular everyday lives, okay, they are complaining that, it's too much money, or they feel that the other parent is not doing right by the child support money, or that the money is being mishandled, even though there's a court order in place for their child. Now, as a leader, okay, because this is how I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it from Pastor Keion's perspective in what he is. He's a leader. There should be a healthy boundary surrounding the conversations involving his ex-wife. We as a public, honey, we should know all of your business, unless you put your business out there for us to know. A foolish man will air all information out to cause their ex-spouse to look bad or to bring shame on their name. But a wise fool will have conviction to watch what they say. And so when it comes to something like this, a person should keep their ex-wife and their dealings out of their mouth, because the other person is not there to defend themselves. Discussing a personal matter like child support on a public forum can definitely blur the lines between personal responsibility and a public perception. Now, this thing about public perception is it plays a significant role in how leaders are viewed. Leaders are held to a higher standard, especially when you say a pastor, apostles, and bishop, especially when they discuss public matters. You almost have to keep it neutral and not put yourself in the equation unless it's a teachable moment. When a leader shares details or specific details about something as sensitive as child support, it can lead to a variety of interpretation, honey, because people gonna believe what they want to believe, and reactions from the public. And those reactions are not always favorable for the other person you are talking about paying child support to. In this case, it's his ex-wife. Leaders especially have a unique responsibility to set the example, to be the example, especially on a public platform. And I just can't stress that enough, y'all. Now, if he had turned the conversation around and used it as a teaching mechanism and as a constructive conversation, and not only that, but took accountability for the part he's playing in the child support proceedings, the information could have been useful, and honey, we wouldn't even be talking about this situation in this type of way. But this is what a lot of people do. They do it every single day. They bait you in to feel some type of sympathy for their situation, when at the end of the day, this was a situation that they created for themselves. Now, some would empathize with the challenges of paying child support, and I empathize with him, okay? I know that child support can be a lot, honey. Now, others may judge them for their situation or just for simply complaining about it. But still, this division can create a narrative that overshadows the main message. And another layer that this can add is it might spill over to his congregation. I'm sure there were some people who loved his ex-wife as a first lady when she was at Lighthouse Church in Houston. But then there were some other people who were not favorable of her, honey, who even talked about her and you and your kids behind your back. That same thing holds true for the new wife. There are some people who love Lady Shani, but you better believe there are some people that are talking about you behind your back. And introducing this type of division in the church is already a little bit of a hot stinking mess. But to continue to intentionally say things that may not make the ex-wife look good does have an impact on the congregation. I don't care what nobody say. It influences decisions. They say, oh, the pastor did it. It must be okay. He did it. Y'all know people worship the ground that some of these pastors walk on, honey. They will kiss the very ground. They'll give their whole check to them, and they'll just be out here living after they've given the pastor over half of their check. And so I'm just not crazy enough to believe that these things don't happen. But before I wrap up this video, I am just not in agreement with this moment that he spent telling Cam about the child support, that it's expensive. It's a beast. For a moment there, Pastor Keion was speaking real, okay? And I was like, okay, you better tell him. But it kind of became corrupt because he was telling Cam Newton to be careful about having more kids, in which he should, which started out as an awesome message. But the message went from wisdom to flesh real fast. And you have to understand it. Cam had this conversation with Dr. Brian. Now, this was woman to man speaking, but when Pastor Keion came on, it's almost like this was God's second opportunity to give warning before destruction. Cam, you don't need to be out here having no more kids. Not only that, Pastor Keion is not just any old man. You're speaking to a man of the cloth. So now it turns from man to godly wisdom. But we all know that Cam Newton was looking for validation in that moment, honey. He was looking for validation based on what Dr. Brian and him talked about that had made him go viral in a previous episode. But I think the real lesson here is just that it's crucial for leaders to be mindful of their words and actions because they do hold power. People often look to their leaders for guidance. So y'all, those are my thoughts. Leave yours in the comment section of this video. As always, thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will talk to you guys in the next video.